There's a story of a young girl who loved to paint. She would sit for hours, lost in a world of colors, creating masterpieces that only she could see. But as she grew older, the voices of doubt crept in. You're not good enough. You'll never make a living doing this. Slowly, she put her brushes away. Years later, she found an old sketchbook filled with her childhood drawings. As she flipped through the pages, she realized something. She had lost not just her passion, but her belief in herself. And at that moment, she made a choice to believe again. Today, she's a world-renowned artist. This isn't just her story. It's all of ours. Because here's the truth. The world doesn't determine your success. Your belief in yourself does. And today, I want to share 5 key principles that will help you strengthen that belief. We are taught from a young age that failure is something to be avoided. We grow up fearing the red marks on our school papers, the rejection letters, the moments where things don't go as planned. We're conditioned to believe that failure is the opposite of success. But that's not true. Failure is not the end of the road. It's the beginning of a new one. It's the moment when we learn, adjust, and grow. It's the space between who we are and who we're becoming. It's not a stop sign, it's a green light, urging us to move forward with more wisdom than we had before. Think about the people we admire most, the innovators, the visionaries, the ones who changed the world. They didn't get there by avoiding failure. They got there by embracing it, by learning from it, by refusing to let it define them. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb on his first attempt. In fact, he failed over 1,000 times before he got it right. But he didn't see it as failure. When asked about those 1,000 failed attempts, he didn't say, I failed 1,000 times. He said, I found 1,000 ways that didn't work. That shift in perspective made all the difference. He understood that every failed attempt brought him one step closer to success. Yet most of us don't see failure this way. We experience one setback and start questioning our worth. We tell ourselves stories about why we're not good enough, why we should have known better, why we should quit. But here's the truth. Failure is not proof that you're incapable. It's proof that you're trying. It means you had the courage to take a step forward. The most successful people in the world don't avoid failure. They use it. They recognize that every setback holds a lesson. They don't ask, why me? They ask, what can I learn? And that simple shift in thinking changes everything. It turns failure from something that stops you into something that propels you forward. Consider the story of J.K. Rowling. Before she became one of the most successful authors in history, she was a single mother struggling to make ends meet. She wrote in coffee shops while her baby slept. When she finally finished her manuscript, she sent it to publisher after publisher, 12 rejections in total. Imagine if she had let failure define her. Imagine if she had stopped at the first rejection, or the 5th, or the 10th. The world would never have known Harry Potter. But failure doesn't just shape individuals, it shapes companies, industries, entire nations. Look at the biggest companies today, Apple, Amazon, Tesla. They didn't succeed because they got everything right the first time. They succeeded because they dared to try, to experiment, to learn from every misstep. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company before returning to make it one of the most valuable brands in the world. Amazon started as a small online bookstore before evolving into the giant it is today, making countless mistakes along the way. Tesla's early cars had major setbacks, but they kept improving, kept innovating, kept pushing forward. The truth is, the road to success is not a straight path. It's messy, unpredictable, full of twists and turns. But every stumble, every misstep, every so-called failure is just part of the process. It's refining you, teaching you, strengthening you. Imagine a world where we taught children to embrace failure instead of fear it. Imagine if we encouraged them to take risks, to try new things, to see failure not as a personal flaw, but as a necessary step toward growth. What kind of leaders would we create? What kind of innovations would emerge? What kind of future would we build? But this isn't just about children, it's about us. It's about the way we live our lives, the way we chase our dreams, the way we respond when things don't go as planned. Because there will be moments, many moments, when you fail, when you feel like you've given everything and still come up short. And in those moments, you have a choice. You can see failure as proof that you weren't good enough, or you can see it as proof that you're on the right path. You can choose to let failure break you, or you can choose to let it build you. You can choose to retreat, or you can choose to rise. Because every great success story begins with someone who refused to quit. So the next time you stumble, remember this: failure is not the end, it's the beginning. It's the moment before the breakthrough, the lesson before the victory. The only way you truly fail is if you stop trying. But as long as you keep moving forward, keep learning, keep growing, then failure is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. Because on the other side of failure is everything you've been working for. There is a voice inside your head narrating every moment of your life. It's there when you wake up in the morning, when you face challenges, when you experience moments of triumph, and even in the quiet moments when no one else is watching. And for too many of us, that voice is not a coach, not a supporter, not a friend, but a critic. It whispers doubts, magnifies fears, and tells a story that doesn't always serve us. Imagine for a moment that your best friend comes to you after a long and difficult day. They sit down, look you in the eyes, and say, "I feel like a failure." Would you respond with, "Yeah, you probably are"? Of course not. You'd remind them of their strengths, their potential, and all the times they have overcome adversity. You would lift them up because you care about them. You would remind them that one bad moment does not define their worth, and that failure is just a stepping stone to growth. And yet, how often do we fail to extend that same kindness to ourselves? The story we tell ourselves matters. It shapes our decisions, our confidence, and ultimately our reality. Our minds believe what we repeatedly tell them. If we constantly say, "I'm not good enough," we will act as if that were true. If we say, "I can't do this," we will resist even trying. But what happens if we change that narrative? What happens if we become the coach instead of the critic? What happens if we tell ourselves the truth, the real truth, that we are growing, that we are learning, that we are capable of more than we know? Think about the greatest achievers in history, those who changed the world, those who defied the odds, those who inspired generations. Do you think their inner dialogue was filled with self-doubt and defeat? No, they chose to tell themselves a different story. They faced obstacles just like anyone else. But instead of saying, "This is impossible," they said, "I will find a way." Instead of, "I'm not smart enough," they told themselves, "I will keep learning." Instead of, "I will never make it," they said, "I'm just getting started." It's not about ignoring reality. It's not about pretending that everything is easy or that challenges don't exist. It's about choosing a mindset that allows us to keep moving forward. It's about recognizing that setbacks are part of the journey, not the end of it. And most importantly, it's about treating ourselves with the same level of respect and encouragement that we so freely give to others. Think back to a time when you achieved something you once thought was impossible. Maybe it was a skill you never believed you could master, a fear you conquered, or a goal you finally reached after years of effort. What was the turning point? Somewhere along the way, you changed your belief about what was possible. You shifted your inner dialogue from "I can't" to "I can." The challenge is that most of us don't even realize how often we engage in negative self-talk. We do it automatically, unconsciously, and without questioning whether or not the story we are telling ourselves is even true. But the good news is, just as we have the power to condition our minds for doubt, we have the power to rewire them for confidence, resilience, and success. So let's start now. The next time you hear that inner voice saying, "I can't do this," pause, challenge it, replace it with, "I'm still learning." When you catch yourself thinking, "I'm not good enough," remind yourself, "I am growing every day." When you feel overwhelmed, instead of saying, "I'll never figure this out," try saying, "This is hard, but I'll find a way." This isn't just about self-improvement. This is about creating a life that aligns with your full potential. It's about refusing to be held back by outdated beliefs, fears, and doubts that no longer serve you. It's about stepping into the role of your own best supporter, your own motivator, your own champion. Because the truth is, the way we speak to ourselves determines the way we show up in the world. And the way we show up in the world determines the life we create. So if you want to change your life, start by changing your inner dialogue. Make the conscious decision to be kind to yourself. Speak to yourself with the same encouragement you offer to others. Recognize your progress, even when it's small. Celebrate your efforts, even when the results aren't immediate. Because the story you tell yourself isn't just a reflection of where you are, it's the blueprint for where you're going. You are capable, you are learning, you are growing, and most importantly, you are enough exactly as you are in this moment. The world doesn't need more self-doubt, it needs more people who believe in themselves. And that starts with you. There is something incredibly powerful about the people we choose to keep in our lives. They shape us in ways we often don't even realize. Their energy, their outlook, their attitudes, these things are not just incidental. They seep into us, influencing how we see ourselves, how we approach challenges, and ultimately how we live our lives. We are not islands, independent and untouched by those around us. We are deeply connected, and the company we keep can either lift us to new heights or anchor us to mediocrity. Think about a time when you shared a dream with someone, something big, something that set your soul on fire, only to be met with skepticism or indifference. Maybe they told you it was impossible, that you were thinking too big, that people like you don't achieve things like that. The weight of their doubt clung to you, and for a moment you second-guessed yourself. That hesitation, that flicker of uncertainty is powerful. It's the beginning of compromise, the first step towards settling for less. And if you hear that kind of talk long enough, if you let that energy surround you, it becomes your new reality. You start playing it safe. You lower your expectations. You stop reaching. But what if you had people in your life who responded differently? What if instead of doubt, they met your dreams with excitement? What if they saw your ambition and reflected it back to you tenfold? Imagine the difference. When you share your vision and someone says, yes, that's amazing, you should absolutely go for it, it changes everything. Their belief in you strengthens your own, their courage fuels yours. And suddenly you're not just dreaming, you're acting, moving, pushing forward. The truth is the people we spend the most time with shape our reality. They create the atmosphere we operate in. And that atmosphere is either one of growth and encouragement or stagnation and fear. If you want to be extraordinary, if you want to break barriers and build something meaningful, you have to be intentional about who you allow in your space. You have to surround yourself with people who remind you of what's possible, not what's impossible. Some people drain you, and some people fill you up. Some people make you question your abilities, and some people push you to be better. Take a moment to think about the people closest to you. When you leave a conversation with them, do you feel energized or exhausted? Do you feel inspired or discouraged? This matters more than we often acknowledge. Energy is contagious. Just like you wouldn't stay in a room full of smoke if you wanted to breathe, you shouldn't stay in an environment full of negativity if you want to thrive. It's not always easy. Sometimes the people who hold us back are the ones we care about most. Friends, family, colleagues. People who mean well, but project their own fears onto us. They're not trying to sabotage us. They're protecting us in the only way they know how. But you have to recognize the difference between someone keeping you safe and someone keeping you small. And if you want to grow, you cannot let the fear of others dictate your path. Finding the right people isn't about surrounding yourself with those who always agree with you or tell you what you want to hear. It's about finding those who push you to think bigger, who challenge you in the right way, who hold you accountable to your own potential. The right people won't let you settle. They won't let you make excuses. They will remind you of who you are and what you're capable of, even when you forget. Think about the great innovators, the pioneers, the people who changed the world. They didn't do it alone. They had mentors, partners, teams who believed in them before the world did. They had people who encouraged them when things got tough, who reminded them why they started, who saw something in them even when they couldn't see it in themselves. No one reaches greatness in isolation. No one achieves their highest potential in the wrong environment. If you want to succeed, be intentional. Seek out those who inspire you. Find mentors who have walked the path before you and can show you what's possible. Surround yourself with people who elevate your thinking, who challenge you to do more, to be more, and just as importantly, be that person for others. Be the friend who encourages, be the voice that lifts people up. Be the energy that others want to be around. Your dreams, your goals, your potential, they are too important to be left to chance. Who you surround yourself with is a choice. Choose wisely. Imagine a child standing at the edge of a playground, eyes wide with wonder as they watch others climb, swing, and jump. The moment is filled with hesitation, with uncertainty. They don't know if they can do it, but the desire is there, and so they take the first step. They reach for the ladder, their small hands gripping the rungs, pulling themselves up. They may not make it to the top right away. They may slip, they may fall, but they try again and again until one day, without even realizing it, they are climbing with confidence, swinging with ease, running with joy. Not because they waited to feel ready, but because they acted before they believed. And yet, somewhere along the way, we forget this. We grow older, and instead of taking action, we hesitate. We tell ourselves we need more time, more preparation, more certainty. We wait for confidence before we act. But confidence isn't something we find. It's something we build. Brick by brick, step by step, through the very act of doing. Think about the moments in life where you felt truly confident. It wasn't because someone handed it to you. It wasn't because you read a book about confidence or watched someone else be confident. It was because you did something again and again until you owned it. Confidence isn't a feeling you wait for. It's a muscle you strengthen through repetition. Consider the first time you rode a bike. It was wobbly, Maybe you scraped your knee. Maybe you fell more times than you could count, but you didn't stop because something inside you believed that if you kept going, eventually you'd get it. That is the essence of confidence. It grows in the doing, not in the waiting. And yet, as adults, we hesitate. We hesitate before speaking in meetings. We hesitate before sending that email. We hesitate before starting that business, before having that conversation, before stepping into the unknown. We tell ourselves we're not ready, that we need more information, that we need more time. But what we really need is to take the first step. Because waiting doesn't build confidence. Action does. Take a moment to imagine a world where you always felt ready. Imagine if every time an opportunity arose, you felt perfectly prepared, completely confident, and absolutely certain of success. Sounds great, doesn't it? But here's the truth. That world doesn't exist, and it never will, because readiness is a myth. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be fear. The question is not whether you feel ready. The question is whether you're willing to act despite not feeling ready. Think about the leaders who inspire you, the people who seem fearless, the ones who step into the unknown and make things happen. They aren't fearless. They aren't immune to doubt. The difference is they act despite it. They understand that confidence is not a prerequisite for action, but a byproduct of it. They know that the only way to believe in yourself is to give yourself reasons to believe. So how do you start? You start small. You start where you are. Speak up in that meeting, even if your voice shakes. Send that email, even if you think you're underqualified. Make the call, share the idea, take the step, because every small action is a vote for the person you want to become. And each time you do, you prove to yourself that you are capable. The snowball effect of action is powerful. The more you do, the more you believe in yourself. The more you believe in yourself, the more you do. And suddenly, things that once seemed impossible become second nature. What was once terrifying becomes exhilarating. What once felt like a risk now feels like an opportunity. But let's be clear. Taking action doesn't mean you won't fail. It doesn't mean you won't stumble. But failure is not the enemy. Fear of failure is, because failure is nothing more than proof that you tried, proof that you had the courage to take the leap. And with each attempt, you get stronger. You learn, you grow, and most importantly, you keep moving forward. Imagine if the great innovators of history had waited until they felt ready. If they had hesitated, doubted themselves, and let fear hold them back. If they had convinced themselves that they needed more time, more experience, more certainty, the world would be a very different place. The breakthroughs, the inventions, the revolutions, they didn't come from waiting. They came from action, from people who dared to step into the unknown, who took the leap before they were ready, who trusted that confidence would follow action, not the other way around. You have that same power. Right now, in this moment, the power to act, the power to start, the power to move forward despite not feeling ready, because the truth is you will never feel 100% ready, and that's okay. What matters is that you move anyway. So what's the thing you've been hesitating on? What's the step you've been putting off, waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, the perfect confidence? What if today was the day you took that step? What if today was the day you proved to yourself that you don't have to feel ready to take action? Because once you do, you'll realize something incredible. Confidence isn't the starting point. It's the result, and it's waiting for you on the other side of action. Self-doubt is insidious. It creeps in like a quiet whisper, questioning your abilities, your decisions, your worth. It asks, who do you think you are? And for a moment, maybe longer, you hesitate. You wonder if you're truly capable. You wonder if you belong. You wonder if you have what it takes. But there is something within you that is louder than doubt, something more powerful than fear, something that doesn't just answer back, but roars with certainty. This is why I'm here. That something is your purpose. It is the core of who you are, the foundation of what you believe, and the reason you keep moving forward, even when everything inside you is telling you to stop. Purpose is not just a concept. It is the fuel that ignites action. It is the reason why the greatest leaders, the most accomplished athletes, the most brilliant artists don't just rise to the top, but stay there despite adversity. It is what makes them unstoppable. And the difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not talent, intelligence, or resources. It is the unwavering belief in their purpose. Think about the people who inspire you, the ones who push through rejection, failure, and setbacks. They are not immune to self-doubt. They are not fearless, but they have something more powerful than fear, an unshakable conviction in why they do what they do. They believe in something bigger than themselves, something that keeps them moving forward when giving up seems like the easier option. Purpose is not just about personal success. It is about impact. It is about contribution. It is about the difference you make in the lives of others. When you are deeply connected to your purpose, the work you do stops being about titles, recognition, or external rewards. It becomes about something greater. And when your belief wavers, when obstacles seem insurmountable, it is your purpose that will carry you through. When you know your why, you stop chasing validation. You stop seeking approval. You stop defining your worth based on temporary outcomes. Because your purpose is not tied to success alone, it is tied to meaning. And when you operate from a place of meaning, every challenge becomes an opportunity to reinforce what you stand for. Consider the stories of those who have changed the world. They were not the ones who had the easiest paths or the most resources. They were the ones who, in their darkest moments, in their toughest challenges, reminded themselves why they started. The ones who chose purpose over comfort, belief over fear, persistence over doubt. Your purpose is your foundation. It is what grounds you when the world tells you that you can't. It is what gives you strength when the path is uncertain. It is what gives you resilience when failure knocks at your door. Because when you know why you do what you do, the setbacks become lessons, the obstacles become stepping stones, and the doubts become fuel for your fire. There will be moments when it feels impossible, moments when you question whether you have what it takes, moments when the struggle feels greater than the reward. But in those moments, go back to your why. Remember why you started. Remember who you are here to serve. Remember the impact you are meant to create. Because purpose is not just a nice idea. It is the difference between those who dream and those who do, between those who start and those who finish, between those who hesitate and those who rise. It is what turns fear into courage, hesitation into action, and doubt into belief. So when self-doubt whispers, let your purpose shout louder. When fear tells you to stop, let your belief push you forward. When the path feels unclear, let your why be your guide, because your purpose is stronger than your fear. And when you hold on to that truth, there is nothing that can stand in your way. Believing in yourself isn't about never feeling doubt. It's about choosing to move forward despite it. Reframe failure. Change your inner dialogue. Surround yourself with the right people. Take action and never lose sight of your why. Because the truth is, the world doesn't need another person playing small. The world needs you, your gifts, your voice, your courage. And it all starts with one simple decision. Believe in yourself. The rest will follow. Thank you.